Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship. Actually, before we actually start, I got sent this article. Did you know that the Washington Post actually wrote about us?
Stop it.
Yeah, dude, we are in the Washington Post. Let me read it off.
I am blushing.
Let me read it off. Hold on a second. Let me look it up.
You didn't even send it to me. He didn't send it to me, guys.
So, the A to B podcast, the number one source for military entrepreneurship, entertainment, and information for all things related in the military. And I quote, the Marine Corps Times and the Military Times ain't got shit on the A to B podcast.
Whoa!
Do you have any firsthand comments on that?
Is that fake?
Come on,
Are
dude.
you
know
pulling a fast one on me, dude? I'm in shock right now.
Yeah. No,
Dude, well, we need to get but it's a Washington. What do you say, Washington Post?
The Washington
Is that
Post.
a reputable?
Is that like the Daily Bongo?
It's been around for a while. Welcome back to the Hate to Be podcast, guys. Your number one military source for anything entertainment and entrepreneurship. Today we have a returning guest on you guys' petition. You guys gave us a lot of great feedback on retired Major Sonny Santavilai. So we had him back. Sonny, welcome back. But before we actually talk to him, I feel that, since the last time our introduction was very vague because we're just having a cup of coffee. We're just testing out the equipment. I want to make sure that I give you guys some information on who Sonny Santavilai is, okay? So, and I'm going to read off of his biography. It says, Major Chinpasilth Santavilai, I might mess that up. I apologize for that in advance.
He butchered it, didn't
Was
he?
born in Vientiane, Laos, and grew up in Rockford, Illinois. While in high school, he played soccer, competed nationally in Olympic-style taekwondo, and was a leader in the junior ROTC program. He attended the University of South Florida and received a BA in philosophy. After graduation, he spent a year in the Mandarin Training Center, National Taiwan Normal University in Taipei, Taiwan, studying Mandarin Chinese and Chinese culture. He attended Officers Candidate School and commissioned as second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps in April 2001. So when shit was really popping off. After attending the basic school, the Basic Communication Officers course, Major Santavilai reported to Marine Wing Support Squadron 171 as the Squadron S6 officer at MCAS Iwakuni, Japan. During this tour, he deployed to South Korea in support of Exercise Full Eagle as both the Support Squadron S6 officer and the Detachment Tactical Area Security officer. Followingly, Major Santavilai deployed to Thailand in support of Exercise Cobra Gold as a Detachment Communications officer. In 2003, Major Santavilai reported to 9th Com Battalion, MCB Camp Pendleton, California. He deployed with the battalion in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom to Camp Fallujah, Iraq, fulfilling concurrent duties as the Company A watch officer. Other billets that Major Santavilai held during his tour at 9th Com Battalion, including Radio Platoon Commander as Switching Platoon Commander. 2005, Major Santavilai reported to 3rd Battalion, 1st Marine, shout out to 1st Marine Division. He deployed with the battalion in support of Iraqi freedom again to hit and Haditha, Iraq, fulfilling concurrent duties as the Battalion S6 officer and as the Battalion S3 Command Operations Center watch officer. 2006, Major Santavilai reported to 3rd Assault Amphibian Battalion, 1st Marine Division. He served as the company commander for headquarters and service company, fulfilling concurrent duties as the Battalion S6 officer. At the end of his tenure, he attended the Advanced Communication Officers course at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. In 2007, Major Santavilai reported to Detachment West Marine Special Operations Command Support Group, Marine Detachment S6 officer in support of 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion. While fulfilling concurrent duties as the S6 Operation Officer for 1st Marine Special Operations Battalion. 2009, Major Santavilai attended Expeditionary Warfare School, Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Following graduation, Major Santavilai executed duties as Staff Platoon Commander at the Officer Candidate School for one platoon cycle, and we're going to talk about that. In 2010, Major Santavilai reported to 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, Marine Corps Base, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Hey, shout out to all my people on the West Coast and the East Coast. I'm sorry, East Coast.
He loves the West
There we
Coast,
go.
though, because it's the best.
He deployed with 2nd Met Forward as the 2nd Met Forward Regional Command Southwest Informational Management Officer in support of Operation Enduring Freedom at Camp Leatherneck, Afghanistan. Upon completion of the year deployment, Major Centevoli reported to 2nd MEF G6 in 2012 and fulfilled duties as the 2nd MEF G6 Information Technology Officer. In 2013, Major Centevoli attended Command and Staff College, Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Following the academic year, Major Centevoli serves as the faculty advisor at Expeditionary Warfare School. In addition to his duties of leading and mentoring 16 captains, Major Centevoli served as the course director and lead instructor for the C4 curriculum. In 2016, Major Centevoli reported to 1st Marine Raider Support Battalion, Marine Raider Support Group, Marine Forces Special Operations Command. Major Centevoli has served as the Battalion Operations Officer, Communications Company Commander, and Battalion Executive Officer. Major Centevoli personal decorations include, which I know this is one a lot of people are going to want to know, the Meritorious Service Medal with Gold Star in lieu of 2nd award, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with 2 gold stars in lieu of 3rd award, Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal with Gold Star in lieu of 2nd award, the Navy Marine Corps Association Leadership Award, and the Combat Action Ribbon. Man, what a career.
Everybody wants...
What a career.
Everybody... Are you Chinese?
I'm Laotian.
Okay, so everybody wants to know if you're a spy. That's what they're wondering.
Really?
Okay, I mean, it's the communications and stuff, okay. Now, is it Chinese Taipei or is it Taiwan?
Taiwan. Yeah, Chinese Taipei, Taiwan. That's where I studied for a year.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
So, Sonny, welcome back. Thank you for being here with us. I do have the first question. What when I wrote back to you, right? What brought you back to the podcast?
So I was up in the air about coming back because of I don't get on social media like that. So when I saw some of the negative feedback, from a couple, idiots, but then I got a lot of good feedback. I got a retired fullbird reaching out to me and say, "Hey, good job." And I'm not going to mention his name because I just want to leave his anonymity out there.
Yeah.
I had a lot of peers who are still in, peers who are reservists, reach out, give me an attaboy and say, "Hey, fuck yeah," right? What kind of made me want to come back is to keep talking because there was a shadow group out there in the shadows who were silent, and those are my peers still active duty. They didn't say anything. It's okay. I don't need feedback really, but I feel that because they're not saying anything, there's some stuff that needs to be said. And if I felt that I was a piece of shit who didn't do anything and just was toxic to the military, I wouldn't be back because I don't want to do anything bad to the institution, right? I feel that whatever questions y'all have or feedback from your viewers, your audience, I'm here, and it's service. I just want to be able to give that to y'all.
Yeah. And we definitely appreciate you having you back. The feedback that I received was 99.9% positive across all of our social media platforms. So I definitely appreciate you giving us the different view from a whole different view that it barely gets exposed out there.
The haters are part of it, though, right? Haters are part of social media. So I didn't get any negative feedback, but that's a bummer that you did. If you're out there, don't be a freaking hater.
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, let's jump right into the topics. Barry, what you got?
Yeah, so I get a lot of questions and on social media pretty much every day, right? And it'll usually be people that have never joined. They're in high school or they're in college and stuff like that. So for you, Sonny, sir, what would you say, officer or enlisted, and what are some deciding you were never enlisted, right?
I was never enlisted.
Yeah,
no.
so what would you say to a young man, young woman, whatever, young person who's in college or in high school, and maybe they see this because I think there's a mentality out there where it gets glorified that an officer is amazing if they have enlisted experience, And I personally don't feel that way. I think it's cool if you're an officer out there and you haven't listened yet, that's great. But what do you think?
So, kind of taking a step back, when you see an officer who has prior enlisted experience, you got to ask yourself, how much, right, to really evaluate. There are some that join, they pick up Lance Corporal, and then they pick up Corporal while they're at OCS. So how long were they enlisted? So the biggest experience they had was boot camp, which is valuable. You get a taste to see of what your subordinates experience and the things that they go through, and building empathy for you as a leader. That's always valuable, right? And then there are some who make it all the way up to like staff sergeant, and they pick up gunny while at OCS when they get commissioned. So now they're a little salty. Now they can either go one of two ways. They use their knowledge to really better the institution, or they're like, you know what, I got this. Like, I know everything, right? Yeah. So you got to evaluate those prior enlisted officers in that light to see which route what experience they had and what route they're taking with their experience.
Did you ever work with any?
Yeah, I worked with a few.
Above or below or both?
Peers. I'll talk about my peers first. Before the podcast, we talked about this in the hallway. Second lieutenant, I had another lieutenant who was only a couple months senior to me, and he was a prior gunny, and we were just kind of like shaking our heads at him because he would take his Marines out on death runs every morning as the platoon commander. And we're like, wow, doesn't he have a staff NCO? Why is he doing that? You know why he was doing that? Because he was doing that as a staff NCO to his Marines. So he had that staff NCO piece of his, soul.
Is it wrong for a lieutenant to take the Marines on death runs, you think?
I don't think it's wrong. Oh, well.
Or maybe he should have involved his staff NCO.
Exactly. When we observed his platoon, he was the only shining, visible leader in his platoon. I believe you got to give your staff NCOs an opportunity to lead. It goes back into leadership. You got to give your men or women an opportunity to fail, an opportunity to be successful, an opportunity to lead. Every time somebody gets promoted, corporal to sergeant, sergeant to staff NCO, even captain to major, you got to sit that person down and tell them what your expectations are. But you can't do that if you are the lieutenant leading your men from the front all the time in such an activity like as PT. Yeah. You gotta spread the wealth a little bit of experience, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So for that high schooler, the college student, officer enlisted, what would you do if you could go back and do it again, or what advice would you give to them in 2023? Because people see the money.
Yeah.
They see the money. They see whatever. I don't know.
So, and I don't mean to be roundabout this, right? But if you're in for the money, you go officer, right? You will maximize how much money you make, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't have a college degree and you're just graduating high school, definitely go enlisted first to get that money, tuition assistance, or using your GI Bill, right?
Yeah.
So that is the benefit of going enlisted first, right? And also, if you go enlisted first, you have a higher probability of getting the MOS that you want.
There are some dangers of going officer, though, too, right? That enlisted Marines don't have to compete with, like career designation.
Yeah.
You could get fired as an officer.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it. So as an officer, you go to OCS 10 weeks, then you go TBS for 6 months, right?
Unless you went to the Naval Academy.
Let's table that for a moment. So you go to, Naval Academy officers do not go to OCS. When you go to TBS, at the end of TBS, you put in a wish list for your MOS.
Okay. And
what they do is they give it a quality spread. You may or may not get your MOS. So that's up in the air. You can't guarantee it unless you want to be a pilot and you've already qualified for that. Now, going fast forward to career designation.
Whereas enlisted, whatever you score in the ASVAB, that's like your ticket, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch up on so that way you guys know what is it, how is it, because obviously when a high schooler or even a college student goes into our office, we screen him in order for him to be a United States Marine. Okay, so we don't screen him to be an officer, and we don't screen him to be. Now there are certain red flags that get thrown up when he goes into our office, and we say like, okay, what school are you currently enrolled in? If it's a 4-year college institution, that belongs to the officer selection office.
The OSO.
The OSO. Okay, that belongs to the OSO, and then the OSO will make the determination, and there needs to be a letter attached that if that person is going enlisted route, and he is enrolled in a 4-year college institution, that person knows that he qualified to be an officer or didn't qualify because of his ASVAB scores or whatever, and that they also is releasing him to the enlisted side.
Yeah.
So that is the actual way that it works whenever, they go. However, here's what I did with some of the, and again, I'm giving some tips and tricks away of how it is that it works. But let's say a candidate walks in to my office and it's like, well, I already scored 84 on the ASVAB, or I scored more than 74, right? I scored more than 74 on the ASVAB, and I want to go the officer route. Okay. You scoring 74 on the ASVAB is not the only requirement that you need in order for you to become an officer. Obviously, you need that college degree. But let's say he does have that college degree. What ends up happening, what I do is like, okay, you're invited to come to one of our ISTs, which is an initial strength test.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is,
what are the events for the IST, just so everybody out there knows?
So the event is you got to do six laps, which is 1.5 miles. Around the field. You need to do pull-ups, you need to do crunches, or now you need to do the plank. So those are the events that he needs to do. But usually the run is the very last thing. What we do is we put him with our pool, that our very strong pool that is like brothers and sisters, and then we make that person run not only the 6 laps but the 12 laps, the full, because when you go to OCS you don't do an IST, you do a PFT.
Yeah.
So that's what we have him do. We actually have him do. And then when he realized, like, oh my goodness, I'm gassed. I can run the 3 miles. Then we talk to him. It's like, yeah, man, like that's one of the reasons why, it will benefit you to go the enlisted side, right? Or if that person's killing it, we'll be like, hey, man, we're going to lose this person. Like,
so physical fitness is like a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
Pay attention, youngsters out there, whoever you are, okay?
Yeah, OCS, they will run you into the dirt.
Yeah.
If you can't run, you can't do pull-ups, you can't PT.
How many pull-ups would you say?
will break. Well, I mean, you're expected to do a full, 20 plus. Yeah. But when I joined, when I got screened by my OSO, I had, I think, 11 pull-ups. And I had like a 26-minute runtime. And my OSO was like, this is back in the day. I was like, you're probably not going to get it. So make plans.
Yeah, this is in the 1900s.
No, yeah, it's 1900s, right?
You know what I mean?
Technically, you ain't wrong.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. To go straight to your question, if I could do it all over again, because of the quality of life and issues and how if you're going to be good, you're going to be good no matter what. I would have gone enlisted first.
Yeah, because you looked at Sergeant Major and you're like, gosh damn it, he's so handsome.
It's like, man,
he's funny.
So
and he's motivated.
Especially for this generation, no matter how confident or how seasoned experienced you are, does it hurt to join the Marine Corps enlisted and be an enlisted Marine for 2 to 3 years, then put in for MECEP, whatnot? 1, you learn how to be a fucking Marine. 2, you observe leaders and what is or isn't good, and you take that, you consume that. So then when you become an officer, you're going to be that much better, that much
but
polished.
Isn't it entirely possible that you could like lose that, mentality, motivation, momentum in that first 4 years of being enlisted and be like, screw this, the military is not for me now, and all of a sudden your plans go out the drain?
But that's okay.
Yeah, that's
because
okay.
Because you make decisions as your variables, as your factors change. Maybe you get married. Maybe your parents get sick. You got to go home. You don't want to stay. It's okay. You got to make the best decision.
Yeah,
for
you
your
never
life
got to live in the
moment.
barracks.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, seriously, my
It's
brother.
a party.
My brother was enlisted.
100%. I'm a barracks legend.
I got so many pictures of his buddies with cock flowers on their faces and people.
If you guys don't know what that is, you're gonna have to Google that.
People and his deployments and all his friends who
Albert knows what it is.
Yeah, it's. I envy my brother's time. But I'll tell you what, my brother.
Your brother, he enlisted?
He joined as a reservist.
Got it.
During OIF while in college. He deployed to Iraq. We actually met in TQ. He was Motor T. And we met at Camp Fallujah. We should have taken a picture. Came back and continued to graduate from college. Then he made a decision to not go active duty and to not even be an officer. He actually joined a
What was your guys' rank comparison? Were you like a lieutenant and he's like a corporal?
I was a first lieutenant and he was a corporal, I believe.
Yeah, so you're like, salute me,
No,
obviously.
it was good times.
PLA,
yeah.
Position of attention when you talk to me and stuff.
He was meritorious.
NJP yourself.
Yeah, he was a great Marine. I'll tell you what, right? If he did not just say, hey, I'm going to leave the military behind me, he would not be where he's at right now. And that's just everybody has their life path. I'm not going to say what where he works, but he's actually going to be a deputy commander at his next duty station as for a federal agency.
That's cool.
Yeah, federal agency. So,
Okay,
you can be successful no matter what.
So if you could go back, you'd say enlisted first. You'd say, hey, if you're a high school or college guy and maybe you don't have that degree, go enlisted, get that exposure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get the tuition assistance, get it paid for.
How do you feel about enlisted Marines? I always hear like that there's this secret faction of like officers, and they sit in the O Club with like the pipe and the, and and they just enlisted Marines and piss ants, you peasants. Is that true?
No.
Are there officers like that are toxic ever?
There are. They don't say it, but they are, because you can tell by how they talk to them.
Yeah, their mannerisms. We spoke about that last time.
Their mannerisms. Because when the enlisted Marines leave,
so it's like not for
they'll
nothing.
roll their eyes. They're just like, man, these fucking Marines. I'm like, they're your Marines, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a parent bad-mouthing their kids to another parent, to a neighbor. You don't do that. I can't believe you're talking shit about your own Marines. They're a reflection of you, and you're a reflection of them. It's when you don't believe in that, that's when you have that attitude, and that's when you become toxic, because then you treat your Marines as cannon fodder, as fucking slaves, as, hey, and then it becomes toxic. And then the battalion commander and the sergeant major, they just feed off each other, and they just like, there's no empathy, right? There's a time and place, but then there's no, and then you expect the Marines to show up and do things for you,
and like be loyal to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, and I know there's going to be somebody out there like, we're loyal to the institution. Just, come on, you know what I mean? But here's my point. It's like, it's a teachable moment, dude.
Yeah.
When a lot of times what I used to see was, as a sergeant major, people, senior enlisted, senior officers, they lose patience in those moments. Because I get it. It's like, like that video I did with the young female Marine, and she's like, if you're, a female on your first enlistment and you get pregnant, you should get administratively separated. And I was kind of upset about that, I'm not going to lie, because it just came off as like super ignorant. And to me, it was a teachable moment. Like, number one, this is why we don't let big kids, anybody other than big kids talk at the table. Because you say dumb stuff, right? If you were a lieutenant colonel and you said that, you'd be fired. If you were a sergeant major, you'd be fired. You cannot make statements like that. And so like there's this, for young enlisted Marines, I know it may not feel like it, and I get it. You can say whatever you want in the comments, but at the same time, you are afforded a lot more opportunities to punt it in the stands and screw up. Right. But when they say stuff like that, I would see senior leaders lose their patience, and then they'd have those eye roll moments when they leave. And it's like, dude, don't you want them to try to be you one day? Yeah. Like, teach them, teach them. Don't be a freaking jerk, because at the end, you don't go put your camis on anymore, do you? Yeah. Like,
no, I don't.
That'd be weird. I don't either, right?
Well, I think the biggest sign of I'll talk about myself a little bit right now. The biggest sign of my success as a leader is that there's still a bunch of enlisted Marines that I keep in touch with. They don't have to. They could be like, oh, fuck him, fuck officers, worked us to death. They could be saying that, right?
Yeah.
And that neither here nor there, maybe happened, maybe didn't happen, but they still keep in touch with me. There's actually a Marine right now. Yeah. I helped get him kicked out of the Marine Corps for a drug-related charge, right? I keep in contact with him. I'm actually probably going to stop by and see him. He's visiting California in 2 weeks.
Hold on. What keeps you guys in touch? I don't get it. How did we, he doesn't hate you, you don't hate him. He did drugs. He's a piece of crap, right? I mean, hey.
It was more than that. He did he did drugs, but he also sold it, right? So the reason why we keep in touch is it wasn't, let's just talk about it. It was a performance enhancing drug.
Got it.
Right. It wasn't like LSD or crack or heroin, any of that stuff, right? So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe after I got out, I was like, you know what? People use SARMs. People use steroids all the time. People buy Tren. Like it's no big deal, right? It's actually accepted by society. Let's be honest. It's illegal, but it's accepted by society.
Oh, there's a ton of military members that do it. Just like the message I did about they're going to test special operations servicemen and women because it's so common.
Yeah. It's extremely common, and you can tell who they are. It's just that those people
put on 40 pounds of muscle.
And then but you know why everyone knows and everyone keeps quiet is because usually those are
They're
like
the top
the favorite.
performers.
Those are the favorite child.
You look great. You're a top performer. You're fit.
Yeah. So that's why nobody says anything unless that person. I actually it's funny that you mentioned that because with one of the videos that we actually did, I'm not sure if it was yours, but it was around that time frame. I got contacted by a staff sergeant that is getting kicked out of the Marine Corps right now because of that.
It might be the same one. I talked to him as well.
Or he's not getting kicked out. He's under investigation.
But it's a whole ring.
But I don't know if it was a ring. I really didn't get into the details of it. But it was essentially that. It's like, hey man, like I'm a top performer. Like I love.
He's going
the Marine
up for
Corps.
court-martial.
Yeah, I love the Marine Corps. I do this, but hey man, I did
the
this.
Marine Corps still is going to treat that as a drug.
Yeah,
it is.
If we can come back just a little bit, when I was active duty Marine, I upheld the standard, right? I enforced whatever.
Yep.
Now, when you're out, right?
Yep.
You're not a Marine anymore. So when I'm in the Marine Corps, I'm walking around shirt tucked, belt, socks with shoes, fresh haircut and shave, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm out, when I don't do that,
Is that what you did?
Yeah, I did that. Okay. Yeah, I did that. I got made fun of. My wife's like, you
look ridiculous.
You look dressed up. Where are we going? we're going Home Depot. What the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm but somebody might see me, right?
Yeah.
I gotta.
There you go.
Every Marine's on parade, right? Is that old school? Maybe it's old school.
That's accountability. That's leadership.
Yeah. So it is what it is, and that's why I would cringe every time I saw a Marine active duty in social media with like half a beard growing. I'm like, I know you're on leave, but aren't you supposed to be shaving still? Right? Maybe I was a little bit too straight laced, but I never dogged anybody for that, right? So going back to, I'm not a moral relativist when it comes to, evil things or drugs or underage drinking and whatnot, but I am smart enough to know that our social mores and ethics and values change over time. Like California, drugs are legal now. I mean, marijuana is legal.
Marijuana,
right?
yeah. Should it be? You think it should be legal DOD wide?
No.
I don't have an opinion. Because I didn't use drugs. I don't use drugs.
No?
I don't.
No, come on now.
Why you make that face?
Are we
talking about marijuana or are we talking about drugs?
Marijuana.
Oh.
We're talking about. So I actually had this discussion. It's crazy. We're talking about all these random topics, but in reality, like I've been talking about this shit for like the past week.
Okay.
So, because now this has been a subject of conversation in my household. Because now I'm out of the military. And
so you just been lighting up.
I could. That's the thing. I could be lighting up.
You are high. No, I'm kidding.
But
He's not,
because I got out of the military, I was like, man, I got all these other things going on. What does me doing weed does to me? Yeah, it makes me feel good for like a couple of hours, but then afterwards, it's gonna decrease my productivity. And that's what happens. Yeah, you might feel good for a couple of hours, but then after that, the productivity is going to go down.
I'm too scared to do it.
You are?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I am.
We can do a
I'm a scaredy cat.
You know what we can do? We can do a Joe Rogan episode, and we can both light up one, and then you see the effects of it. Get it on live. We can do that. But hey, I'm gonna tell you this though. This has been a subject of conversation, and that's why it shouldn't be allowed in the military. Yeah, well, it'll be fun if you have like a 96 or whatever. Yeah, but then the productivity.
I disagree. They should legalize it DOD wide.
100%. Well, yeah.
It's legal in
that's
a
never
bunch
gonna
of
happen
states.
though. That's never gonna happen though.
I don't think.
That's never gonna happen.
A to B podcast. We could change that.
Well,
here we go.
Well, check this out. Back when I was at Third Tracks, I had some staff NCOs, some senior staff NCOs tell me that they would go to Pacific Views or Sharky's and just slam a few during lunch and come back to work. I mean, that was a common everyday thing in the Marine Corps. Alcohol.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that was common.
Yeah, it was common.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was okay, right?
Well, when we joined the Marine Corps, it was like, I mean, dude, we had a squadron master sergeant. He was a 0369. This guy, every day, brandy in his coffee cup. It was full of nothing else but brandy. And everybody knew. And you couldn't even understand him. He'd be like, old school, super dark black guy, right? But that was, and he had the aviator glasses. He looked like he was from 1985 because he was from 1985. And you'd see him, and he'd just be drunk, and he'd be like, "Hey, David, you're gonna be good. You're gonna good. Hoorah, baby." And I'd be like, "Did you guys understand what he said? Because I didn't get it, And then at lunch, what would he do during lunch, afternoon chow? He'd put the trash bag suit on with the old school Interceptor flak jacket over top of it and run to the radar tower every day.
After slamming the brandy?
Dude, and I'm like, how is he not dead? This guy's insane.
I'm telling you. But I think that's basically what my subject or my what I was gonna say when Sonny said what he said about about the drugs and all that stuff, it's like, or in reality holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Here's the part that really catches on to me, and I want to say this so that way everyone fully understand my point of view on things. I am a very down to earth type of person.
Yeah.
And when I talk about shit, it comes off as I'm criticizing it, right?
Sure.
And maybe I am, but you know why I'm criticizing it? Because I hate it when people say one thing or do or mean another thing. I fucking hate that.
Example.
I fucking hate that. If you're gonna say, hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this, fuck it, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
but
give us
don't
an
say that we're
example.
gonna do it and then lost in transition. That's why recruiting duty was so fucking bullshit
Are you
for me.
married, Albert?
I'm sorry?
Are you married?
I am, yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's
I feel
why-
your pain.
That's why. No, but it wasn't even about. It wasn't even on my marriage. Like I think me and my wife, we understand each
I'm
other.
joking.
But I'm talking about like in the military in general, specifically on recruiting duty, right? Let me put you this example of why is it that I got super delusioned when I was in recruiting duty. I was so delusioned because every single time that the commander or my CEO would be in front of us, we're about the people. We're about
What people?
The future
recruiters?
Marines. The future
Oh, okay,
Marines.
okay.
Yeah, the future Marines. They were specifically talking about and the recruiters too. They were
Okay,
talking
okay.
about, we are all about the future Marines. We are all about the recruiters.
We love you guys.
But then every single fucking time that they could, they will stick it to
What
us.
was that hand? Was that what got stuck? Was it a knife?
Just imagine bent over, spread
Oh,
over. It's like,
Lord.
boom,
Oh,
we're
my
going.
Lord.
We're going.
We
Me,
are bent
me,
over.
the sergeant major, the XO.
Yeah, we're not bending over
the
backwards on
operation.
that one. We're bending over forwards.
Albert, one of my buddies right now, Lieutenant Colonel, called me last Saturday, a couple days ago, and he was like, "Hey, great podcast, man, but you know what? It's much worse on recruiting duty.
Much
like
worse.
How they talk to you, how they berate you, how they dehumanize you
As an officer.
the pressure. Oh, officer to officer, the pressure. You know,
Really?
my little thing about throwing the PowerPoint slide back. I'm like,
I thought officers were like, it was like the gentleman's club.
nah, they will slay you. They will
Really?
slay you. Yeah. There is my
you got
battalion
some-
XO one time. He was walking around, had 3 lieutenants lined up, POA, threatened to end our career. And he was threatening to end our lives with a fucking axe handle. This is in Iraq. I mean, he was getting violent with us. Yeah. I love the guy to death.
He was upset.
He was very upset. Yeah.
He was extreme. He has a problem.
We're probably
he-
talking about the same person because I had a colonel that
Yeah.
did that stuff too. Like his meetings, he would have a knife.
Okay.
But that was the best leader I ever had. That's the best officer I ever served with. I'm sorry, you can say this, but that's the best officer I ever served
Yeah.
with.
Well, I don't know.
But I want to finish my train of thought whenever I said that. Like, listen, I hate it because that's what's going on right now with everything, and that's my thing. A lot of people think like I always be bashing talent management, just like I bash like some of the things on recruiting duty.
I meant to tell you, I got messaged by a former sergeant major of MMEA. So more to follow on that, but he's got some great insight. We can explore that moving forward. But I wanted to hit you on that one because when he saw our last podcast and we brought that up, he had a couple of things, and so he and I have been exchanging some messages.
So, here's my take on it. If you want to simply say we're gonna do business as usual, aye, sir, and let's do fucking business as usual. I won't complain. I won't submit anything. I would just simply be like, okay, now I really have a determination to make without no gray areas. I either stay in or I stay out. But don't be putting guidance out there and then going back on it as, oh, yeah, that was just an idea. No, motherfuckers. Y'all know what the fuck y'all were doing.
He's upset.
Y'all know. And the same thing on recruiting duty.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch on talent management. I'm not going to talk about that shit no more because I've said everything that I need to say. I've said all the proof that I need to say. I will say this, though. It's the same thing for recruiting duty. They paint this great image of like, oh, yeah, you're out there, recruiting the nation's finest. But in reality, our recruiters don't fucking care because the way that you put it is like, listen, I got to make mission. I don't give a fuck if I got to...
How come recruiters never wear their cover outside?
Yeah, we wear our covers outside. What you
Do
talking
they really?
about?
Okay.
Yeah, we wear our covers outside.
Okay, because most of them don't.
Well,
That's like a thing.
no.
I've had leaders reach out to me and they go, "Hey, like, how can I help? Like, like the recruiter discipline and stuff out there."
Oh, I'm gonna
You
tell
know?
you this, and that's the best thing that I can. That's the last thing I'm gonna say on it, right?
Yeah.
We talk about it because how do we fix something, or how do we recommend, or how do we spark conversations by talking about it, bring in different points of
Yeah.
views, and then talking about it, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, how do we fix it, man? Just let your intentions know from the get go. That was my biggest
No,
gripe
you're being
with
you're being
officers as
unrealistic.
well.
You're being unrealistic. Leaders
Why?
aren't, because leaders aren't going to do that. You're not going to walk in the room and go, "Look, guys, I don't want to get fired. I want to make a mission. My colonel just freaking blasted my face off." You know, you can't do that.
Well, you don't say that. You don't say, "Oh, I just got my ass handed to me by the
Whatever,
colonel."
though, you know what I mean?
You don't say that. You don't say that. But at the same time, I appreciate, and I will work 10 times as
Just
hard.
give it to me straight.
Just give it to me fucking straight. That's
Yeah.
all. They're like, stop masquerading all this fucking bullshit
Yeah.
that's going on, and then just give it to me fucking straight. Okay,
Yeah.
you need this because of X. I can fucking work with that. Let's make it happen.
Let me ask you a question about your awards. Do any of them, because number one, why don't officers get promoted or awarded in front of Marines? Like, is that, because that, I get asked that all the time. And junior Marines are like, the lieutenant or the captain came out with like another NAM or something, but I don't know, or they got promoted and like, what the hell? I wasn't invited.
Very interesting. I think I've seen that before, where there'll be a officer, staff and officer social, and that's when the officer will get the award, right? It's a little bit more, tight, function. I think part of it is maybe being humble to award an officer an award. Now, there's double-edged sword to this. In front of the formation, now you're going to get like, wait, he did what? How come Sergeant so-and-so, who worked his ass off to get that award, didn't get anything?
There you go.
That is the blowback. That's partially why. And since we're getting into awards, we can have a whole episode about awards. But I've seen awards come across awards boards where I'm leading it, I'm chairing it. I'm like, wait, these are the same fucking bullets for that knucklehead we gave an award for a couple
and
months
paste,
ago.
huh?
Copy and paste. And then I'll see like an award for an officer. I'm like, wait, you just stole the bullets from one of your staff NCOs. What the fuck did you do? Like, I just couldn't help but notice this stuff, right?
Like, are we just putting a check in the box to give the award, or did you like actually take the time
Yeah.
to like write this award? Obviously not.
So
That would be frustrating.
One of the best
What do you
ways,
do in those situations? though?
so one of the best, to kind of answer it, one of the best ways to have an awards board is, one, to get it screened by your adjutant to make sure grammatically, word count, all that stuff, hits all the certain phrases. But then you have senior leadership, whether it's the first sergeant or the company commander himself. Maybe you send the XO if you want to from every company, sit, and you got to read that freaking award in front of everybody else. So you got to put your balls on the table. And so if it sounds like shit, sounds fake, sounds like you're floating it across the table, people will call you out. And we did that. And that was great, because we would just tell them to turn tail and go fix it. And it sounds like you're just putting a lot of fluff into it. But that's what you got to do. We talk about public awarding, but how about public awards boards with all representatives
I've been
from
a
the
part of
battalion?
them plenty of times. Yeah,
And I
You're
think that's
100% right.
Public award
Yeah.
boards?
Well, yeah, because I forget what like systems they use. I'm not like a tech guru, but it's like a group thing that you can almost like forward it to you, and you can see it, and you can see it, and you can you can add comments, and because like I remember we had a Marine when we were in Afghanistan, and because of his rank, it was like they were recommending him for a NAM with a V. And when I read the write-up, this guy, like they got ambushed, okay? His friend was shot in the face, okay? And this guy traversed like 700 meters of like open terrain, basically through a poppy field with no poppy in it,
Oh, damn.
to like get to his friend, and like very accurate enemy fire and all this stuff. And he like rescues his friend, and he calls in the Kazovac and all that. And they're like a NAM with a V. I'm like, I just read your bronze with a V. It didn't even come close to that. Like this guy's at least, to me, he's a bronze star with a V.
Yeah.
I went hardcore on it. I pushed for it, and he ended up getting it. People were like, okay. Sometimes you need that leader in the room to like stand up and go, excuse me, everybody. Like, would you get up and run 700 meters, full battle rattle, very accurate enemy, medium machine gun fire? No, you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. I know you, okay? You're freaking over here.
He's just doing his job.
You're over here at Dwyer.
Yeah.
You're over here at Dwyer at the big chow hall, and this kid isn't. He put his freaking literally his life on the. Anyways,
Yeah, NAMs are Innovator Awards. Like NAM with the V, that's bullshit for that thing.
Yeah.
Like, and NAMs are just given out like candy.
Yeah.
To some ranks.
To some people, yeah.
To some people, yeah.
Yeah,
Dude.
some people say, well, it's a NAM if you're like a sergeant to a staff sergeant.
But
and
it
it's
ain't
a
supposed
Navy
to be by
comm.
rank, right?
It's a Navy comm if you're a gunny and above.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing, and I think we're talking about what we're dancing around is the award level for officers. I'm not going to say that the officer did not, an officer or me. Let's just talk about me. I'm in the room. Did not award a certain award, any of my awards. What I will ask myself if I was a third person was, you got that award. Did your Marines get awards too? Did they get it? Did they get a good fucking fit rep as well? If not, then that's when the battalion XO fails to hold that leader accountable, because that's bullshit.
That's a shout out to the officers out there like that. Come
Hell
on,
yeah.
baby.
So that's
We need more of that if you're out there.
So that's bullshit, right? Because we just take, whether you're a gunny or an officer, you take from your men, but then you don't reward them. You don't put them in formation in front of their buddies to tell them that you did a good fucking job. And most of the time, what I hear from Marines is they didn't even care what the award was. Just to get public recognition.
Dude,
it's such a big fucking
It's
thing.
the recognition.
Yeah, public, right?
Because everybody else, but they'll sit there and they'll go, I didn't work, you don't work for awards, you don't work for fit reps. No kidding, you don't. But damn it, when you get one, it makes you, it like stokes that fire. Don't you want to like go even harder, you know? Now, did you get any of your awards publicly, like in front of your junior Marines, or was that never like?
I got most of my awards publicly, not in front of necessarily junior Marines. It was more so like an officer function or at a going away or in hail and farewell in front of staff and SEALs and officers. And
Never in front of the platoon.
No, not in front of the platoon. It wasn't.
Would you go back and do it again, or do you feel like that's the right thing to do?
To do what?
Get it like at the officer function, the going away.
I have no say in it, but
sure,
I think
that is true. That's
I think to go back. I don't think my Marines need to see me getting an award. Because just that's the humble streak in me.
Yeah.
I'm not all about it.
What do they mean to you on this side of things, or even when you were on active duty? Like, is there one award that you're like, dude, that really just like, or maybe it's not a medal, maybe it's just a ribbon. I don't know.
So the one award that I really knew I worked my ass off was I got it at the end of my tour in Afghanistan. I built my shop from ground up. I put in new policies. I actually believed I established institutional change in the Marine Corps and the way we did things.
Wow.
And then and I was given the award by an officer who I really respected. It was General Tulin at the time, and I really believed I earned it, right? And it was blood, sweat, and tears. Everything else was always a tier below it. It was a MSM.
MSM.
And people make fun of
MSM, if you guys don't know, Meritorious Service Medal, it's the red and white one.
Yeah. And actually in the read-up, I got another MSM, a third one when I retired. That is sort of like, it's an end of tour award. I did some good things. But let me say this. MSM is sort of like the running joke amongst majors. It's an award that all majors get, right?
It's like a NAM for a major.
It's kind of. Now let me tell you about the other side of the sword on this, right? So I was an instructor at Expeditionary Warfare School in Quantico, and usually instructors do 3-year tours there. I only did 2 years there because my first year was a student at Command Staff College at Marine Corps University. I got recruited by, at the time, Colonel Donovan to be one of his instructors. I said, hey, he interviewed me, and let me pause for a moment. You know what my job interview with him was? They asked me to show up at EWS, and they asked me to show up in PT gear because they wanted to see if I was fat because I was going to be a leader of officers. I'm like,
wow.
Okay. So I showed up. The deputy director says, hey, you here to see Colonel Donovan? I'm like, yes, sir. Hey, here's his PT belt. I'm like, all right, set up. So Colonel Donovan comes out of his office. Hey, did you PT yet today? No, sir, I just got out of class as I was a student at Command Staff College. It's like, let's go for a run. We'll talk. We'll run and talk. Mind you, he runs like JFK 50-mile marathons. I
was going to say, and you're throwing out some old school names.
Yeah, so
because I know who Colonel Donovan is.
He was with Det One. He's Force Freak. Yeah, he's a 3-star right now or something. Yeah, he's at SOCOM. He was at JSOC. So we go on a run, and I'm like, okay. So now we're running up and down the hills of Quantico, talking to me, and I'm huffing and puffing, and we run like at least 3 miles, and I'm like, motherfucker, you set me up. So he's asking me about my philosophy of command, what I would be better to be,
And you're just trying to breathe.
I'm just trying to breathe. Yeah, I
You're
just
like,
had a
Lord, I
big
need more.
fat sandwich. This is like post chow. I mean, green on green.
You went to Q Town.
Yeah, Q Town.
Tore it up.
Yeah, not the right socks. I got like stupid like running shoes. You know what I'm talking about?
So you're feeling a little full, a little self-conscious.
But anyways, I passed his job interview.
Sure.
So I became a faculty advisor for 2 years. Great experience.
Hell yeah.
However, it was probably one of the worst career decisions for me, and we'll talk about that later on. Not necessarily because of performance per se, but you got to get back to the fleet, right?
Yeah.
So that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
But he recruited me. I was honored, right?
Yeah.
He's prestigious.
Yeah, and for the record, guys,
Yeah.
Sonny is still not fat. He looks like he just did about 172,000 push-ups. He's hitting the triceps every time he says a word. Great triceps, by the way. Just anyway, so he's holding it together, guys.
So usually you're instructor at EWS for 3 years and you rotate. I was there for 2 years. At the time, General Pratt came out with a decree. Hey, any instructor gets only Navy Com. You don't get MSM. I'm like, whatever. A little bit of protest, but who cares? So fast forward to my promotion board. I knew somebody who was in the room. You're not supposed to talk about it, but bygones are bygones. But
everybody does.
But everybody does. And
like,
it came up as like, hey, a bunch of the members of the board were like, why did he only get a Navy Com as a faculty advisor at EWS?
See, now it looks like a negative.
Now it looks like a negative because you kind of hand out candy, MSMs, to majors and especially FACAs, right? Whatever. I'm not trying to say anybody earned or didn't earn it, but now it's a negative. And it was one of the little negatives during the board for me in that year. And I'm not going to say that was a straw that broke the camel's back or whatever, and because it's all about performance, right? But it's those little things that will just poke at your package and just like,
Yeah, if you're out there, you're an officer or even, senior enlisted or if you've been a board member or something like that, drop a comment, weigh in on that, and or private message, whatever the case is.
Private messages, they ain't gonna comment if there's.
Yeah, they probably won't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'd love to hear more about that because that's obviously a real thing. And so yeah.
Yeah, imagine if a lieutenant colonel got a NAM, you'd laugh. Imagine
you
sergeant
would
major,
laugh.
yeah, right. Got a NAM or got
got
like a Navy Com just for whatever. You'd laugh.
Yeah, we
right?
talked about that several episodes, back because it was about the awards. Should everybody get them, right? You were like, hey, what if you didn't do your job? And you're, let's say, CO, Sergeant Major, end of, your tour comes, change of command, relief, and appointment. Do they get an award? And that was kind of one of the things I said. Like, if they don't, everyone's going to go like,
yeah. What do you do wrong?
Same thing. If it was a NAM, you'd be like,
Yeah, but that's how, in my very humble opinion, I never even got close to the positions that you guys got close. But that's how you root out the dinosaurs. Because we talk about it so much. This is a subject of conversation whenever you go to PME in the Marine Corps. It's how do we root out the dinosaurs? We talk about them all the time, but we never seem to fucking find them.
What do you mean?
That
the older mentality?
The older mentality that is preventing the Marine Corps for doing the evolution.
Well, let me say this.
Let me say this.
Here's how you know recognition is an issue in the Marine Corps, because officers are getting their awards separately. And not just that, but at the end of the day, if people were being recognized the way that they should, there wouldn't be this recognition envy.
Yeah, but you know
that
what?
wouldn't even be an issue.
You know how many times what you just
and
said,
not that the recognition needs to be an award, but just
You know how many times what you just said passed through my mind when I was enlisted? Fucking zero.
About what? Recognition?
About, oh man, like, sir, you got a new award. Congratulations. You know how many times I actually felt how you said? Fucking zero.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, I didn't care where that person or if that person got a recognition. I think that it was more of like, okay, you got recognized. It was kind of like what he was saying. It's like, well, are you going to recognize me? Like, goddamn, man. Like, you got...
I've seen it a lot, man. I've seen Marines after the formation straight up, dude, be like, he didn't earn that award. I did that. He did that. They did that. Yeah. He didn't do that. But he's up there getting the award. So, like, as a sergeant major, I'm sitting up there, like, and I'm asking the leaders who do know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, the CO's name is going to be on this. Did this Marine do this action, these actions, whatever it was? Because everybody is going to hear this. And we have an opportunity to, like, you know, be the people's champ or be out there putting out weird stuff. You know, nobody wants that.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really have to be the same type of award that officer got. It just be something to boost up your career. Like, that's all it is. Like, I could care and I could care less about, you know, any of the awards after I got my first award, because everyone always wants the first one. Everyone always wants the first NAM if you're a corporal or if you're a sergeant. And then after I got my first one, I was like, man, this shit's fucking pointless.
Let me ask you a question, Sonny.
Yeah.
20 years. You went right to 20.
Yeah.
Were you ever rode?
Oh yeah. Oh, no, I was road. Oh well, mentally or in the eyes of the Marine Corps.
For those of you guys who don't know what road is, it's retired on active duty. Were you, or did you ever know anybody, like, and you saw another officer and you're like, this freaking guy, dude, he's been retiring for the last 3 freaking years. Like I guess my question is,
I've seen
you went right to 20. Yeah. Did you ever think about going past 20? Was it like, I'm freaking done, I can't wait?
Barry, I wasn't allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I got passed over the second time, so I got passed over in 2017, 18, I found out.
Okay.
Like I said in the last podcast, it was up in the air whether the Marine Corps was going to allow me to stay in. I had to submit paperwork to petition sort of to stay in to retire
at 20.
To 20. But nobody knew that. And I'm proud to say nobody knew that I was passed over. They're like, what? You were passed over? And, you know, I maintained myself physically. I was still on fire, you know, as a fucking Marine. And I still protected the institution. Now, there are those that Marines will probably see, passed over major who's bitter and fat and doesn't do shit, goes home early all the time. You see those guys. But once they are allowed to remain on active duty, there's nothing the Marine Corps can do except make their lives miserable by firing them, moving them around or whatnot. But you see those. And
I never really had a field grade officer that I saw that was like that. But the more company grade, the captains and below,
sure,
you know, that maybe they hadn't gone through career designation yet in their career. And as you remember, there was a period where career designation pretty much went away.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it was like a rubber stamp because we needed people. But I've seen lieutenants, like, you know, everybody's got a little bit of lance corporal in them. For the field grades, I never, you know, majors and up, I never really saw somebody who was just like a total, like, geez, this guy's like never even at work.
Those guys are hidden. You didn't see it as an enlisted Marine because they're usually...
they're not put in those positions.
They're like the S3 Zulu, right? Seriously,
which is not really a job for those of you guys.
No, they
100%.
Yeah, he went all the way to the end of the alphabet.
It's 100%. It's a job.
Yeah.
Now what I want to do is I want to change topics here real quick, but I'm gonna do a reset because this we've been talking for a while now, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that the people know where and how to contact us if they have any type of questions, right?
Yeah.
Like Barry, where can people find you at?
At Bull5277 on Instagram, at Bull52772 on TikTok. You know, click the link in my bio, drop me a message, a comment. We do our best to get to each and every single person. Go to YouTube, search the A to B podcast. We're the only podcast doing this, you guys. We're up and coming, and the more that you share, the more that we care. And these issues that we're bringing up on this podcast with Sonny here, with you, I mean, it's relevant issues to many, many people out there, not just Marine Corps, service-wide, leadership topics. But that's where you can find me. Click the link in my bio. The call is free. The change is forever.
Hell yeah. Sonny, where can people find you?
I'm 100% transparent. Just Google my name, Santabulai. You'll either see myself or my wife. TCPS760 is my Instagram, and then you can just find me on Facebook. I use it once in a while with same name as well. 100% transparent. My Instagram is my family, my children. But if you go to LinkedIn, you could see my military career and then how I transitioned into the civilian sector in a very sort of amazing way. Even though I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad now, I voluntarily did that. You can kind of, if you have any questions, just hit me up about the transition as well.
Hell yeah. And you guys know where you guys can find me. You guys can simply click on the link in my bio. My social media is Ramos_Capital. Guys, we strive to provide you the most relevant information, the things that you guys are talking about. So if you guys would like, drop us a comment. What is it that you guys want to talk about? What questions do you guys have about the military service? We are 3 very experienced people in this room. We are here for you guys. So make sure that you guys go to any of these videos that are right here and drop a follow and a like. We'll see you guys in part 2.